Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of He Said, He Said, He Said, a look at the world from a seasoned Black man's perspective. I'm Alvin King, and welcome again to our show tonight. Happy Good Friday to everybody, and happy Easter weekend to everybody. And I also I should have wrote this down, but there is another DC holiday today, and I can't believe that I'm mentioning it. Can't even remember what the holiday is. So when my co-host comes on, I know he's going to remind me of what the holiday is. But it centers around when slavery was ended in DC, and that is the holiday that's happening today, ladies and gentlemen. I should know that, but anyway. Again, welcome to our show. How are you allergy sufferers doing? I know it's that time of season. I have a black car and it is now yellow. So I'm telling everybody, stock up on all of your allergy pills because it is coming if you haven't had it already. So about our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen, the debut novel by author Brendan Slocumb, The Violin Conspiracy, has taken the literary world by storm. It was selected as Good Morning America's book club pick, and we have him here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and we will talk to him about his new book, and we will talk to him about other things that, Vash and we always come up with a whole host of questions for our guests, and we will also talk to him about his life as an African-American violinist in the world of classical music, ladies and gentlemen. And let me see real quick before I go on, because I want to bring up some comments about last week. Hello, who's on here? Let me see who's on here so I can say hello to everybody. Okay, everybody's still signing in. Well, also, last week, we had Dr. Art Fields on the show, ladies and gentlemen, and we talked about his book, I Respect Difference. And we gave 2 books away, and thank you to all of you who sent in your submissions to enter the contest for winning the book. And I'm going to announce the 2 winners tonight who won books from last week. That is Rose Settles and Mr. Derek Kimbrough. So congratulations to the both of you for, again, joining for winning the book and for joining the contest. And you will receive an email, and we will mail the autographed copy of Art's book to you this week. I Respect Difference. Again, thank you. Your support means everything to us. So without further ado, let me get him in here, ladies and gentlemen. My co-host for the evening, Mr. Vash Bodie. Come on in here, Vash.
Hey
man.
How you doing, Alvin King?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Happy Good Friday to you.
Happy Emancipation Day.
That is what I couldn't get out.
Yes.
Happy Emancipation Day. Yes. I'm sorry. I hope. Please don't take my black card. I promise you.
That's
okay.
Hysterical.
Don't take it from me. But happy Emancipation Day. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. And you knew it. You just needed a little refresher. That's all.
Thank you. Hey, Alma. Thank you for joining the show, sweetheart. So Vash, so much has been going on, as we all know, in this world. So I'm just going to say the one that rattled me this week is that subway shooting in Brooklyn. It just it took me up. I've always thought the subway is one of the unsafest places, in my opinion, where people can just walk on and have, guns or weapons or whatever, and you never know. And so that incident in Brooklyn shook me.
Mm-hmm. Now, I lived in New York for a few years, and the subway always just seemed like this completely just innocuous place. People were really going in to go where they had to go, and then they were getting out. So that really shook me too, to think that now people have to be concerned about getting into the subway, and with all the subway pushings and everything, it's just a lot.
Well, and you make a good point, because you said New York. Living here in DC, of course, the subway is busy at times, but not as busy as the subway system in New York. But I just always thought that was a place where if anybody wanted to do anything ridiculous, I've always felt that was a place to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And, the fact that, again, it happened, and I called my friends. All my friends are safe, and, some of my friends had the audacity to say, I don't catch the train. I was like, okay, right, okay. But I still called on them to make sure that they were okay. So, yeah. But he's been caught. And people are, New Yorkers are resilient, and they're back to doing what they do. That was yesterday, and I'm moving on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. New Yorkers keep it moving. That's for sure.
Keep it moving. And Blue said that it was awful. He'll be prosecuted as an internal terrorist. I believe, and he believes that it's our first case where that will happen. So, well, if it can happen to him, Will Smith is another example, but again, I'm not gonna get on that horse for slapping people. I'm not gonna get on that. So we're all about first right now. But anyway, what else is going on? I also wanted to mention to you that to our viewers, as you know, Lizzo. She is hosting Saturday Night Live this week, and she's performing. So her second time performing, and then she's also going to host. So kudos to you, Lizzo, and everything that's going on in your life. But she's also in the news, ladies and gentlemen, for this outfit that she wore to get on her private plane, and there's a lot of people who are going back and forth on this. Some say, express yourself, be who you are, do your thing, Lizzo. And then there's some people that said, girl, you need to go put some clothes on. Okay.
Lizzo is always showing her behind.
Literally.
I mean, this is not the first time that she's gone someplace where her butt's been out. So it's like, and isn't this one of her designs?
This is one of her from her new sportswear collection, but right. I don't care. Look, I've been wearing chaps for a long time, but I still don't think that I'm gonna wear them outside. But I'm not Lizzo, so I'm not going to go down that road. But
so where do you wear your chaps?
Where do I wear them? Mm-hmm. Places where they're appreciated.
And those aren't out?
And that was a back at Vash, so don't do it. Look, don't poke the bear. Okay.
Look, I'm trying to slap the bears behind.
I'm not going in that window with you tonight, Vash Bodie. Okay.
Right on. Well, look, isn't Lizzo, keeping in theme with our show tonight, isn't Lizzo a classically trained flautist?
She is.
So, just know, ladies and gentlemen, that we have classically trained Black classical musicians all around us.
All around, and even closer than we think tonight.
Closer than we think.
So what is going on with you, man? What do you have in your world?
Look, I am so excited about what has been happening at Amazon. For those of you who don't know, Amazon has recently unionized some of its labor force. Well, Amazon didn't do it. The laborers did. And there are two gentlemen who were behind this whole effort. They happen to be Black gentlemen as well. We've got Christian Smalls.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And we also have Derek. I forget Derek's last name. It's beginning to escape me right now.
Derek's last name.
Derek Palmer. So it's Christian Smalls and this is Derek Palmer. Mm-hmm. These were two of the gentlemen who were instrumental in just bringing down Amazon, getting laborers in there. People never thought it would ever happen. And thanks to Derek and Christian, it has. And, hats off to them.
Yeah. And, reading that story, the way Amazon came at them, I mean, in the way of, writing letters to discredit who they were and who they are. I just thought it was just so underhanded. And I think Amazon bit off more than they can chew. And they didn't think that this was going to turn out the way that it did. And so kudos to those brothers, because I also read where Amazon spent millions to hire people to go against them.
Yes.
And they spent something like
$23.75.
Right. That was also given to them.
Right.
By people. So kudos to Christian and Derek. And I hope to see more of them, man. Thank you for bringing that up, Vash.
Yes. Right on.
Thank you. Hey, look, I don't think I see Bobby on here. Keith J is on here, and Rose is on here too. Rose, I don't know if you know it or not, Rose, but you are the winner of I Respect Difference. You're one of the winners. So congratulations if you didn't hear that before you sign on. So we will be notifying you. Yes, we will.
Keith J said with regards to Lizzo, he hopes that she sits on a towel. That seat would get quite sweaty if she didn't.
Well, I've said what I had to say on that, and actually I didn't say what I could say on that, but I'm gonna leave her alone. Live your life, Lizzo. Just put some clothes on. I'm not trying to see your backside every time you go somewhere. All right, I'm not trying to do that. Right. Oh, wait a minute. We have someone new, Tawan Muhammad.
Yes.
He says
celebrating Christian and Derek. Yeah.
Thank you, man. Yep. Thank you. Stay in that story because there's going to be much to hear about these two guys. They are definitely on the move. Yes. So, Vash, are you ready to bring on our special guest tonight? Because
ready.
Yeah. I had the pleasure of meeting him in person. So, for him to put us in his schedule to come on the show and talk with him, it is truly an honor. So, I'm ready to roll with it if you are.
I am totally ready.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our special guest tonight, Brendan Nicholas Slocumb, was born in Yuba City, California, and raised in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where he began playing the violin at age 9. He was the concert master for the University Symphony Orchestra at University of North Carolina at Greensboro, and served as the principal violinist But for the past 23 years, he has been a public and private school music educator and is a Nobel Educator of Distinction. He also served as an educational consultant for the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts and as a concert master for the Nova Annandale Symphony Orchestra. Today, Brendan lives in Washington, D.C., my hometown, and he hosts a podcast, How Music Can Save Your Life, because it was music that saved his life. Here to talk with us about his first novel, best-selling author of The Violin Conspiracy, Mr. Brendan Slocumb. Come on in, Brendan. Hey.
Gentlemen, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you, man?
Great. Nice to be here.
You are, again, like I said, it is an honor to have you here. So let me just tell you, Vash and I, when we collaborate on questions for people we love, we just go to town. So we have a lot of questions for you tonight. So can I start and just go ahead and kick it off? Brendan, again, welcome to our show. But if you will, just take about 90 seconds to tell us a bit about yourself and, and share with our viewers who have not read The Violin Conspiracy, a little bit about your story and the story world you've created.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me here. I really, really appreciate it. The Violin Conspiracy is a story of Ray, who discovers that his old family fiddle is actually a priceless Stradivarius violin. And this discovery catapults him into superstardom in the world of classical music. And right before the Tchaikovsky competition, which is basically the Olympics of classical music, his violin is stolen. Who did it? Will he get to compete? Will he get it back? Was it his family who thinks that he should sell the $10 million instrument and split the money? Was it the Marx family whose grandfather used to own Ray's great-great-grandfather, and they say the fiddle is theirs? It could be anybody. Will he get it back? Got to read it to find out.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Thank you. I'm telling you all, you have to get the book. Thank you, Brendan, for that. Thank you.
Yeah, it really is a page turner. Mm-hmm. Well, Brendan, the book is kind of based on you and your life. It's about a young guy who plays the violin. How did you come about playing the violin?
Well, when I was 9 years old, classical music, I heard a little bit of classical music. I'd heard some Mozart, and I just loved it. I didn't know what it was, but I just knew that I liked it. At age 9, when I was in the 5th grade, we had the opportunity to play stringed instruments through my public school music program. And I, along with a couple of friends, said, hey, we're going to do that because we could get out of class twice a week. That was really the driving factor. When you're in 5th grade, yeah, sure, I'll get out of class as much as possible. So my friends ended up not doing it, and I ended up doing it. And I was pretty good at it, and I really, really liked it. And, I stuck with it all through elementary school, junior high, high school. There were bumps and ups and downs here and there, but I managed to keep playing. And as a result, it took me to college. It took me around the world. It basically saved my life. And I'm here today.
Wow. It's so funny. Something that you thought was going to get you out of school really put so much more time pressure on you and took over much more of your life. That's hilarious.
Yeah. In a good way, in a very good way.
Totally. Do you play any other instruments?
Wow. Yeah. How much time do we have? No, I play, I teach piano lessons. I play guitar. I've taught guitar for 10 years. I play flute, clarinet, oboe, and all the other stringed instruments, violin, viola, bass. I was a bass player in high school. Played in the jazz ensemble, and I played euphonium in the marching band. And yeah, if it's an instrument, I can play it.
Wow.
Okay.
Quirks.
All right.
I wish.
So then how'd you
go ahead, Vash? I'm sorry.
No, I was going to ask, how'd you come to write this book?
Summer of 2020 happened. It was a crazy time for everyone. And like a lot of other authors, I'm calling myself an author, which is I'm still kind of getting accustomed to. There was not a whole lot going on. First, as a musician, during 2020, when everything shut down, as a working musician, I had no gigs. The weddings, the receptions, the dinners, the concerts, the recitals, everything stopped, everything. And I had zero going on. I lost the motivation to practice. And about 20 years ago, I had written a manuscript for a sci-fi book, which I like, but looking back at it now, it's horribly written, and I hope nobody ever sees it. So if anyone has a copy of that, just burn it, please, on my behalf. Please burn it. And I saw an advertisement for selling books in the age of COVID. I had plenty of time. I was sitting on the couch getting fatter and fatter. I was like, all right, I got to do something. So I wrote something and I submitted it, and it was terrible. And I appreciate the agent who told me, yeah, this was awful, but you have a good voice. So try writing something that you really know, that you're really passionate about. I was like, I know music. So I started writing, and the Violin Conspiracy was born.
Wow. Okay. This leads me here then. When I think of your success, of this book, I have to use the metaphor that centers around, where we are right now. 75 years ago, baseball legend Jackie Robinson was famous for knocking the ball out the park. And the moment the Violin Conspiracy was released, you knocked it out the park. You came out the gate swinging. So, even Good Morning America just immediately jumped on top of you. So, as the #1 book to read, were you surprised at how well the book was received right out the gate?
Was I? Am I still? I'm in shock every day. Every day I wake up and I have to tell myself, yeah, this is for real. This is really happening. I didn't set out to write something that would just grab people and make them want to turn the page and stay up until midnight read it. I never did that. I just wanted to write a story that people would like. That was my only intent. But the fact that not only Good Morning America, they chose it. They chose it pretty right after it was, bought by Anchor Books. It was very shortly after that, they picked up on it. And just the fact that people have been giving me such good feedback on this book and telling me, oh, I never knew this, and my mind has been changed, in this perspective. And it's incredible. Every single day I wake up and I say thank you every single day. It's amazing.
Well, I'm sure, because I think it was released in February, correct? I think
Right.
It was February. That's when I first heard about it. And then the next thing I knew, Good Morning America was talking about it. And then I ran into you shortly after that. So you know what? So something was in the universe for that to happen. So in writing the book, Brendan, was there any characters that were most challenging to create for you?
For this book, not really. The most difficult character was all of the people in the Violin Conspiracy. We've all run into them at some point in our lives. These characters are actually based on real people. A lot of, I know them. You guys know them. Everyone has a grandmother like the grandmother in the book. We all know people that are just, I don't want to give too much away about the story, but everyone knows these characters in the book. And so that part was actually easy to do. the detective who was instrumental, that's a joke. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay, you got.
I'll be here until 7 o'clock.
We got it.
The detective who was instrumental in helping Ray find, who took his instrument. She was probably the most difficult one to write because she had to pull her out of thin air. And I spoke with detectives. I spoke with the art theft department in New York. I spoke with FBI. I spoke with private investigators. And I had to kind of cobble together a character based on everything that I'd learned from those interviews and research that I had done. So she was the most difficult. Everybody else, it just flowed because I know them like they're sitting right here.
Right. Okay.
Wow.
All right. Okay.
Now, the book deals with some pretty heavy concepts and situations, especially racism within the classical musical world. Was it really like what's in the book? And are there any real life examples that made its way into the book?
Whew, okay, I'm glad you guys are sitting down. Absolutely and absolutely. Was it like that? It's still that way. It's still that way. In my research, I discovered it's something that I had known personally, but I discovered that the number of Black musicians who play professionally in professional orchestras is 1.8%, which is, it's ridiculous. The number of professional orchestras around the world, and there's only 1.8% of us represented. So that was really disturbing. And my own accounts, I have walked down the hall. I've been a guest conductor and a guest player for several orchestras, like when I would direct a regional orchestra or a district orchestra, an all county orchestra, I walk into the room, I'm the conductor and they look at me like I'm there to move furniture or I'm like one of the custodians. And until I reach for someone's fiddle and I start playing something, then they take a second look at me. Just on my appearance, they think there's no way. No, this can't be the guy. No. This is a mistake. He can't do this. He's not the one who should be doing this. It happens a lot. And it's really sad. But and the worst part of it is I think I've actually kind of grown accustomed to it, which really is too bad because it's been happening so much. I'm really used to it. I'm used to walking into a place and people not thinking that I'm capable of playing. I will sit down and play the Messiah, which I played 100 times, literally. I can play the first violin part, the second violin part, the viola part. I can do it all. I've done it a million times, and I will go to a gig and prepare to play, and the director will look at me and say, yeah, okay, we're going to put someone else in your part to help you out. And I'm like, I really don't need the help, but okay, whatever you want to do. And I end up helping the other person because they don't have the experience that I do in playing. And it's a problem, but I think people are beginning to realize that it's a problem, and the awareness is finally starting to happen.
Wow.
And your book is doing a lot to make those changes.
Yeah. I'm really happy to hear that. I get messages from people regularly saying that I had no idea. Your perspective is so much different than mine. I never would have thought about it that way. And that's a good thing. It's changing a lot of minds.
Wow.
Well, I mean, go ahead, Vash. I'm sorry. Vash, excuse me. I'm just like this. Look, I'm just like, I'm just ready to ask him a question. So please.
We both are. I just want to see, was there an incident that happened to you that actually made it to the book?
Oh, there were several. There were several that actually did not make it into the book, but the ones that I did specifically put into the book, there is a chapter that takes place in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which actually happened to me. The only difference between what happened to Ray, the protagonist in the book, and me is that Ray went to jail. In 2000, I was taking a road trip, was going down through Baton Rouge to get to New Orleans, and I made an illegal lane change. This is pre-GPS, so you have to use a map and you don't know where you are. Oh, my hotel is over there, but I'm in the right lane. I put on my signal. There's nobody on the street because it's a Sunday evening. I turn left from the right lane, lights and sirens. I have to get out of the car on my hands and knees, face down with a gun pointed at me. Terrified. I thought that was it, and oh, okay, well, yeah, you can go now. Well, what was that about? Oh, well, you made an illegal lane change. Okay. All right. Okay. So good. Thank you for protecting society. It was things like that a lot. That's one instance that made it into the book, and I will never go back to Baton Rouge ever for anything. And Another one in particular is the wedding scene that took place, where Ray was playing for the first time at a wedding. I modified that one a little bit. My string quartet in college played at a wedding, and we thought everything had gone beautifully. We played great. The mom was happy. The bride was happy. The dad was not happy at all. There were 3 Black people in my quartet, and he could not wait to get us out of that church. And that was the first time that I'd really seen hatred in someone's eyes. And he said to us, "You ruined my daughter's wedding," and didn't pay us. It was like, "You got to leave. You got to get out of here. You shouldn't be here." It was not cool. Not cool.
Wow.
You know, it's not often that we have a guest on the show, and all these questions that I have in my head, and I'm looking at my questions that I want to ask you, and you just went right down the line and just answered all of them for me. I'm just I know, which is like a beautiful, which is really beautiful. So I'm just going to ask you: is there something about Ray McMillian that only you know?
Oof. I like to think that everything about Ray McMillian in the story, everybody, he is an open book. Everybody knows everything about him. His heart is on his sleeve. He's a great guy. He just wants to play music. That's all. He doesn't want to have to, prove himself over and over and over again. He just wants to play. He just loves music, and that's all. In spite of all the obstacles that, keep getting put in his way, he just wants to play music. And the fact that he stays a good guy, he's got every right, because of everything that happens to him in the book. He could just pop off at any time on everybody, but he doesn't. He stays like his grandmother asked him to. Just stay that same sweet boy that I love so much, and you're going to be fine. And he remembers that, and that stays with him. So there's not really a whole lot that I know about him that the people that have read the book don't know. I think he's an open book. Open book.
See, see, that takes me back to when I introduced you and talked about Jackie Robinson, because your story pretty much reflects that. That's who I got, or how I felt Ray was in this book. Jackie Robinson, just had to deal with a lot in as far as racism was concerned, and could have said something because it was in him, but he did not. And so you just spoke to a point that again, in reading your book, that was very present for me. So thank you. Great writing. Great writing.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Vash. Look, Vash, I don't know why.
I just love this book so much. There is so much going on. I have so many burning questions, but I'm not trying to disrupt your flow at all, because I will remember them. They're just set in my brain. Because there is so much going on in terms of Ray having to fight so many different things. And I'm assuming that you did too in your career, and still do.
Right.
But I'm really curious, as a Black musician, where was the surprising place that you found love and support for you?
That's a great question. I think I'm going to elaborate, if I may elaborate before I answer that part of your question. I'd like to elaborate a little bit on what you said as far as the battles that Ray had to fight throughout the book. As I was writing, I realized, well, for 92% of this book is autobiographical. 92% is me, speaking through Ray. And it really did not dawn on me until I went back and reread the book. And I wrote it in 2020. So, it's been a couple of years and I've read it several times. It really didn't dawn on me that all of the battles that Ray was fighting, these are things that I have actually gone through and shaped my personality. And people have asked me, they're like, "Brendan, how are you still such a nice guy? You have every right to be just bitter and angry, but you're not. You turned out to be so. How did you do that?" So, it's a combination of just being raised right, and I'm just an eternal optimist. I am very optimistic that if people don't understand what it is that you're doing, or they have hatred for you, or whatever it is, it's got to be attributed to something. It's not just because they're bad people. People just don't know. You never know what people are going through. So I like to think that if they learned to think a certain way, they can unlearn it. And you know, I want to be an example. I want to be an example to people. You know, you don't have to pop off on everyone because they say something to you. You just never know. You never know with people. So that's my little spiel on that. But one place that I really was pleasantly surprised that I've received a lot of love is in my classroom. I taught high school music for, years. And I was at one particular school in Springfield, Virginia. I taught at formerly Robert E. Lee High School in Springfield, Virginia, which is now John Lewis High School.
Right.
I was there for 11 years, and it was an extremely diverse school, Black, white, Asian, Latin, Middle Eastern, just everything. We had everything there. And, me coming in and the teacher that they had previously, either they loved him or they hated him. There was no in between. And the ones that loved him really loved him. And the ones that hated him, they really hated him. So they were just like, whatever. And, here I come in, I'm this Black guy. A lot of them had never had a Black teacher before, let alone a man who plays violin. And it's just like, they actually gave me a shot. They gave me a shot. And I tell you, we've been one big happy family ever since. Every class of kids that I've had since then, I got there in 98. I still talk to all of them today. I'm really good friends with them today.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Well, do you want to give a shout out to any of your students?
I would love to give a shout out to all of my students for the last 25 years. Everybody that I've taught, always. I love you guys. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you guys so much. All of you. Too many to mention. We don't have that much time in the show, but I could name them all, but I won't do that.
Right on.
Well, we did have a comment by Julie Mendenhall. Julie said, this was one of my favorite books that she's read. Such a great blend. Thank you, Brendan. I've learned so much from you. I laughed and cried throughout the book. Julie, thank you for sharing, and thank you for tuning in. Look at that. Look at that love. Okay, that.
Thank you, Julie.
So, well, Brendan, was there a favorite chapter of the book that you love or like?
Well, I'm a little bit biased. I like the whole thing. I like all of it. But my absolute favorite chapter is Boston, the Boston chapter. I loved writing it. To me, it was fun. It was sad because it could very well have happened. That part was 100% fiction, but it happens every day, and it could have happened to me. And for any watchers in Boston, this event never took place. It never happened. Boston is cool. I like Boston. I'll probably be there this summer. Yay, Boston. Don't sweat it. But that was one of my favorite chapters. Just I had a good time writing it.
Right on. It's a good chapter.
But just like I asked, what was your favorite? What was your most difficult?
Ooh. I think one of the more difficult chapters that I had to write was chapter 33, which is Nora's letter. Young Nora, when she wrote the letter that was dictated by Pop, who is Leon Marx. That one was hard to write. Believe it or not, it was actually toned down some because it was pretty graphic. It speaks about some of the atrocities of slavery. And during my research, there was just so many things that I could have added, but, it was just a dictated letter. So I didn't want it to be too terribly long, but, it was important to me to put it in the book. And it was really important for me to get through it, because a lot of times in school, we learn that America had slaves, Black people picked cotton, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, and that's all we get. That's it. A lot of people just think, okay, and now we're happy because we were freed. And there's so much more to it that you just never hear, you never get exposed to. So it was really important for me to make it as realistic as possible, some of the atrocities that slaves had to endure. And I hope it came through in chapter 33, Nora's letter.
It did. And that was, it was quite remarkable, all of that. And it really sort of reminded me of things like Beloved by Toni Morrison and some of those other books where they really go into it and really give you a vibe for what has happened.
Right.
As a writer, having to go through and, living the lives of your characters, how was it writing for the family of the enslaved and then having to find the compassion for writing about the family of the enslaved, the enslavers.
Yeah, it was it was easy for me to do because I looked at myself from the outside looking in. Had I been, one of the actual participants on either side, I'm sure it would have been much more difficult to do. But like I said, I really wanted to. I'm an eternal optimist, and I really wanted that to show throughout the book. We are a very resilient people. We have gone through so much stuff, and yes, we could be angry, and yes, we should be angry for a lot of stuff that we had to endure. But at the same time, there's a different side to us. There's the side that we want to embrace the goodness. There's so much good and so many good things that we have done and will continue to do. I just really wanted that side to shine brighter than the bitter side. So I kept all of that in mind as I was writing those episodes.
Right on. Wow. You did a really beautiful job. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, right on.
Well, I would love to give this person credit, but I'm just I want this person to hire me. So I'm going to say this, Brendan, if your film was to be made, if your book was to be made a film, can you tell me who would you select? Is there anybody in mind to play the leading role of Ray? Is there any, have you thought about that?
Okay, couple of things. First, obviously, it would be me. Once I shave and get some Just for Men, it's me. Definitely, it's me. I'm a little bit. I could probably play old Ray, but before I answer my dream casting, Sony actually snagged the rights to the Violin Conspiracy a while back, and a limited series is in the works right now.
Wow.
So it's coming to Netflix or Hulu or HBO or some platform. It might be on network TV. They're going through the motions. The screenplay is being written right now. And George Tillman, who directed The Hate U Give and Soul Food and Barbershops, he is on board to direct the Violin Conspiracy series.
Wow.
Okay, first of all, you all have heard it right here. Okay. Right here on He Said, He Said, He Said. He said it.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes peeled for what's yet to come with the Violin Conspiracy.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Thank you. Well, I got to show you my pick of who could play young Ray. Can we put this gentleman up here, Mr. Ashante Black? I just want him to play you, okay? I want him to play young Ray. That's a 9-year-old violinist right there to me. And I just saw him. So you tell whoever's writing, please call Ashante. And Ashante, call me because I could be your manager because I've been selling you myself. Okay?
You have.
I've been pushing him. I like this actor. He's amazing. So I want him. I would love to see him in your book, or I'm sorry, in your screenplay, in your series. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I think that kid would be perfect. He looks like me when I was a kid. I think it was perfect.
That's what I said. You have some folks that are like chiming in here. Lauren has chimed in, and let me see. Lauren has said one of the many instruments you play, which are your top 3? Will another instrument be featured in the sequel?
Good question. Wow, Lauren, you think there's going to be a sequel? Maybe we don't know. Come
on,
Lauren. Top 3 instruments, definitely violin, flute, and oboe. Violin, flute, and oboe.
Okay. And Julie Mendenhall, she asked the question. Thank you, Lauren. She said she was horrified by what Leon and his family went through, but I knew that it could have easily been true. Thank you for sharing that perspective. So, thank you. All right, Vash, you go ahead. You take it because I got too many questions and I need to sit down because I feel like I'm on octane. I'm on gas right now. Okay, so
I have tons of questions. All right, so I'd like to know, what are the barriers keeping Black musicians from going into classical music? Mm-hmm. And considering the proficiency of which Black people typically have once they do have the barriers removed from entry into a sport or into an activity, do you think there's the potential for Black people to really kind of go in and take over classical music?
I absolutely think so. And those are fantastic questions. I believe the biggest barrier for Black people in classical music is exposure. We are just not. I happened to run into Mozart. My third grade music teacher just played it one day, just out of the blue, and I was like, "Whoa, what is that?" I think a lot of times during elementary school, the school will arrange for the students to go and see a symphony, and they'll do that once a year in second grade. They should go once a month instead of the symphony, playing at an $80 million renovated hall in one city. Let's have the symphonies go around to a bunch of different places in the city, so people who can't get to these places, have the same exposure that the people who can actually afford the tickets and, can take the hour ride to whatever city they're going to perform in. I really think that it's exposure. And, for me, have music in your classrooms, have music in the hallways where you're changing classes, not just one type of music. One day it's reggae, another day it's classical, another day it's rock, another day it's hip hop, another day it's jazz. Just exposure to all types of music, and everything. A lot of music is rooted in classical music. A lot of things that we hear. There's so many instances of classical music being the root of a lot of hip hop songs. I can tell you, I'm listening to something. Oh, that's the 4A elegy, and they're like, oh no, that's Drake doing blah blah blah. I said, let me tell you where Drake got that sample from. This is something from classical music. I played this one. Yeah, okay. Just things like that, and it's happening a lot more. So I think it's an exposure thing. But I really do believe that we're beginning to have these conversations more, and people are opening up to the idea of exposing our youth to more classical music. And I think that'll do it. I think it'll get more kids interested.
It's interesting. I'm going to make this connection here. We had a Broadway performer by the name of Anthony Wayne on the show before. He's now in the play Tina Turner. He has an organization called Black Broadway Men, and for some reason, I think that would be a great connection for you to meet, because you speaking to that peer group, I think would really enlighten them and elevate them for what you just said. So I'm gonna make that connection. I'm gonna make sure that at least I give you that information to kind of put that together. So
winner. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Would you say some of the names of the pieces of music that Ray plays in the book? Because some of them sound like they might be sexy, if you say so.
They're all sexy to me, because I went back to when I first started. When Ray auditions, one of the first pieces of music that he auditions on is L'Inverno, which is Winter from the Four Seasons by the composer Vivaldi. I remember playing that when I was in 7th, 8th grade, and all of the pieces that Ray plays throughout the story, they're either something that he really had to perform, or something that I learned, or something that I listened to that I always loved. There is the Zagan, which starts with a T, by Maurice Ravel. You talk about sexy. That's a sexy, gypsy sounding sexy piece. That's great. It's the Ravel Zagan, the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto in E minor, the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto in D major, the Bruch Violin Concerto in G minor, Arrival of the Queen of Sheba from Solomon by Georg Friedrich Handel, the Fête Polonaise by Emmanuel Chabrier, which is one of my favorite pieces. And it's just, there's just so much stuff. There's so much good music in this book that a lot of people just go and look at the playlist, listen to it. It'll be fascinating. It'll just really open your eyes to an entirely different world if you haven't heard any of this stuff.
Wow. Your people are coming in. People are asking questions. So look, I'm going to run through these real quick. Carl, welcome to the show. Carl Robinson. He said, interesting discussion. Thank you so much. I think Julie is commending you on what's yet to come with the next move in the book. And Derek Kimbrough, who was the winner of I Respect Difference. He said, being that you have ventured into the world of writing and are now an accomplished author, does your love now lean more into writing or music?
Ooh, that's a great question. I was in conversation with my editor, Edward Kastenmeyer, a couple of weeks ago, and that question was asked. And because he was right there, of course, it was all about writing because I want to keep my editor happy. He's not here today, so I can say that I am really a musician at heart. I'm an artist at heart. So the writing is fun. It's great. I love it. I absolutely love doing it, but I'm a musician. So, I miss being able to play every day. I miss being able to practice. I miss being able to, prepare for a symphony concert. I just had to, it's had to slow down a little bit because of the book and promoting it and writing my next couple of books and everything. And so music, I'm going to go with the music.
You said you're going to stick with music.
It saved my life. I have to do it. It really literally saved my life.
That is the mantra of my life as well. Okay. So thank you. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
What advice can you give people to help them appreciate classical music more?
Great question. My advice would be to go into it with an open mind. Don't go into it thinking it's going to be this, it's going to be stuffy, it's going to be boring. You never know. There is music out there, classical, that you will absolutely love. I didn't think that I would like a certain composer, but I did a little bit of research. I read about the composer. Oh, this is what he was doing when he wrote this music. Oh, this is what this was about. And it just takes you to an entirely different place. It really is eye-opening if you go into it with an open mind, and you can really, really appreciate it on a totally different level. Just go into it, zero expectations, and just see what you think.
And people don't really understand that movies these days, the music that you hear in movies, a lot of that is written by contemporary composers, and it's actually the new classical music.
Absolutely. There's so much, and right. Soundtracks. It's huge. It really is a huge thing. I'm glad you brought that up. Soundtrack scores and composers. That's where everything is headed now, and their roots are in classical music as well. But there are soundtracks. I'm watching a movie, and at the end of the movie, I take out my Shazam. I was like, "What is this? Who wrote this?" Because it's stuck in your head, and you just love it, and it's good stuff. Classical music, it's good stuff.
That's our takeaway, right? Classical music, good stuff.
Good stuff.
Brendan, is there anything that you know now that you wish that you had known about yourself then at the beginning of writing this book?
Wow. Okay. Well, glad I got my hat on to keep my mind intact. That one was mind-blowing. Wow. Great question that I know now. I honestly would I wish I had known that it was going to impact as many people as it has. Like I mentioned earlier, that was never the intent. I just wanted one person to like this story. That's all I wanted. Just the fact that it has reached so many people, it is very, very, very humbling. And I don't know that I handle that very well. People give me a lot of compliments, and they tell me how much they've enjoyed it. And I'm really happy you did. I'm thank you. And I feel like I should be saying more than just thank you. And so I actually got tattooed on my arm, thank you, because I'm so appreciative of everything and everybody that, has come about. And it, not only because of this book, but just all the friends and family that have helped me my entire life. I would not be here were it not for mentors and family members and friends. And I'm just so appreciative. And I just want to thank everybody for everything.
Wow.
There's one more question that someone has. Julie asked, she said, I listened to your audiobooks and wondered if you played the music on it.
I did not play the music on it. That's all public domain stuff. I did not. Okay. Sorry, Julie.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, okay, I'm going to, Lauren, let me read Lauren's question right here. Lauren says, how many pieces of your original music would you like to have in your screen work? That is a question that Lauren has asked. And so you want to go ahead and answer, because I got one more before I surprise them with something else. I'm going to surprise you guys are getting a surprise tonight. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, really quick. I am the singer and songwriter for a band, Geppetto's Wood. And we have, I'm biased. We got some great songs. We really, really do. I would love, 5 or 6 pieces, totally 5 or 6 pieces that would be perfect for the limited series that really speak to Ray and speak about what Ray experiences and how he feels. And I'm in talks with the production team, and it's like I'm not giving the go ahead and say, hey, you got to stick one of my songs in there, but we'll see.
Okay. And this last comment that we have is from a gentleman. His name is Nalon Mitchell. Great interview. Made me appreciate classical music more. I was exposed to classical music and the world of opera in high school, and I am grateful for that. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know this guy personally, and Nayland can possibly say that, but he is an amazing author and actor out of Atlanta. Yes, I follow you, Nayland. And so thank you for joining the show tonight and for watching us. So thank you for that comment. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of our interview with the amazing Brendan Slocumb. Thank you for all that you brought to our show. Vash, thank you. I'm sorry I kept trying to just hop in on some of your questions tonight, Vash, because, I like the song says, I got that feeling, and I was just going in, Vash. So thank you for being patient with me. But thank you for this interview. It really, really did make our show. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, he's not going away because right now we asked him to play a little game with us called Rapid Fire. So you can learn a little bit more about Brendan. And before he leaves, he is going to give us a performance to take us out tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So you're going to get a taste of Brendan tonight. So, so right now, Vash, you ready to go into this game? It's called Rapid Fire. And so we're just going to ask you the questions and you just go ahead and shoot it back to us. So if you could buy one type of food right now, what would it be?
Pizza.
If you could be any animal, what would you be and why?
Fox. Because they just look cool.
What is the one thing that you would put on your bucket list right now?
To go to Italy.
Okay. Okay.
Who's your favorite superhero?
Spider-Man.
Who do you admire most? Besides, he said. Go ahead.
Ooh, anyone who has ever had to work for whatever it is that they have, which is basically everybody. If you've worked hard to do it, you got my admiration because I know how tough it is.
If you could be a flavor of ice cream, which would you be?
Chocolate.
Hey, baby.
What? What is your favorite hobby?
Reading comic books.
All right. I
have 10,000 comic books.
Okay, so a comic book reader. I didn't know that. Okay, all right.
Very interesting. If you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Hawaii tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
What is one of your weirdest quirks?
I grind my teeth.
Oh,
I've done it I've been doing it. I just realized that I'm doing it now. My jaw's sore and constantly. I constantly grind my teeth. I don't know.
Okay, that's a quirk. Okay.
Are you a morning person or a night person?
Night person. Morning it always comes too early. Can't do it.
Yeah, it does.
And if you could trade lives with anyone for a day, who would it be and why?
Oh man, anyone for a day. Well, I could say, you know what? I would trade lives with the president so I could fix everything that's going wrong.
Oh, okay. So you have some big shoes in the corner. Okay. Well,
gas prices are too high.
I'm not even gonna mess with that.
I'm tired of taking out a personal loan and take a trip down the street. Yeah.
Well, thank you for indulging us in this rapid fire. Hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, you know a little bit about Brendan outside of how amazing he is as an author, and soon you're going to find out how amazing he is as a musician. So while he prepares to play for us, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you that next week, the 22nd, we will not air live next week because we have some things that are going on, but we will be back on April the 29th, and we will have with us the talented actress and songstress. She's a local talent right here in DC, but she's done some amazing work. Her name is Roz White. She will be here on the 29th to share her story and to also give us a little bit more of Roz. So tune in on the 29th, ladies and gentlemen. And our words of the week this week is: music is the soundtrack of every good and bad time we will ever have. And that was a quote by Alex Gaskarth, ladies and gentlemen. And in the whole vibe and theme of music, we are going to close out tonight with a classical performance by our author and special guest, Brendan Slocumb. So take it away, Brendan.
So I'm going to play a piece called Rosamidra, which is Welsh for lovely. And this is in the book. This is Grandma Nora's favorite piece. So Ray would play it for her all the time. And this happens to be one of my mom's favorite pieces. So this is Rosamidra.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Brendan Slocumb.
Beautiful.
Brendan, thank you. Before you go, though, we have one another question that came in from a viewer. Is that correct, Vash? About an audio book? Was that?
We did ask that. I believe it was Julie who asked if.
Oh, okay. She listened to the audio book and wondered if it played on the music on it. Okay, right. I'm sorry. Again, this is a live show, and our producer, when he says stuff, he's like E.F. Hutton, ladies and gentlemen. So we're just rolling. So I wanted to make sure that we got Julie's question in. And Carl Robinson, thank you, Lauren. Carl Robinson said, "Wow, I played the violin in elementary school. Great instrument and cool." So. Brett, thank you all. Thank you, viewers, for joining us tonight and taking part in our conversation with Brendan. This really does mean a lot to Vash and I. So, wow. I don't know why I'm so filled tonight. Is it because it's Easter? I don't know. And it's Good Friday. I don't know what it is. But, Brendan, you have me on cloud nine. And I just want everybody to go out and get the book. They can buy the book everywhere. But can they also buy it from your website as well? Can I send them there?
Absolutely. Go to my website. It's local bookstores are always need our support. So I would recommend that you go by your local bookstore in your local town, but you can see a list of every place that the book is sold on my website, brendanslocumb.com.
Yes.
Follow me on Instagram at Brendan Slocumb. Send me a message. Let me know what you thought about the book. I'm happy to, I'll respond to you. We'll be friends.
Please get it. It's like milk. It will do you good. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it really will. And you all, again, keep your eyes open because as Brandon mentioned, great things are happening and for him and with this book. So again, we are so honored to have you on the show, Brandon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you. It's the highlight of my week. Thank you guys.
Whoa. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to sign off. And again, we thank you all for tuning in with us. And we can't wait to see you again when we're live on the next episode of He Said.
He said.
He said.
Ha.
Ha. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good weekend. Happy Easter to everybody. All right. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.